play. Red Protoss player spawning on the left top side. Down 0-1. Loves Frost as well. He is PigBaby.
Trying to get himself back into this series, this first series. His opponent, the blue Terran player, spawning in the southwest position, representing Team Axiom. It is Heart.
All that Terran love around the world, man. Us Protoss players. The struggle is real these days. You know, poor Trap, he's like playing his heart out. He's playing some of the best Protoss I've ever seen in my life. And the only time the audience claps is like when Polt kills a Nexus. And it's like, no! Guys, this is so beautiful what you're watching. Please clap. But they didn't. I feel the struggle is real as Protoss players. What do you feel, Nate?
I feel people really like watching Terrans.
I feel like we need an intervention with the StarCraft 2 community, and we need to show more love to Protoss.
It's you know, WSS America actually has some of the most Terran players. I feel like the Protoss have actually been on the endangered species list for the American region this season.
Like I said, the struggle is real. People don't believe it, but it is. Either way, there is still no gateway on the production tab for PigBaby, and that is a little surprising because in PVT, I would not say that opening up with a Nexus first is the standard. However, it seems like he is going to do it. We did see it multiple times throughout the MLG weekend as well, and hopefully, of course, all you guys have been watching. MLG was fun, was unique. We saw a lot of cool stuff. Saw some of the best games that I've personally seen in a long time.
Saw some of the best American Protoss play ever, too.
Kappa.
Hearts opened up gas first again. I really like this, not just because I open gas first every game, but because this has been an interesting development in the way that this build works, and I'm really interested to see how much gas he mines after this factory is done, because he does still have 3 SCVs. But the best part of this is, as PigBaby, if you scout a gas first opening from a Terran player, there's usually a couple of really good responses that would shut down a Widow Mine drop if you scout early enough. But now that you see Heart can kind of mix it up in this weird way, you don't really know what to expect anymore. It could be a mine drop, it could just be this expansion, and since he's taking workers off gas, that's pretty much what it seems to be.
I mean, I didn't really go over this yet, but the more I think about it, the more I like what PigBaby is doing over here, because like I said before, Heart's opening was like the most defensive, safe, I wouldn't say uneconomic, but not very economic opening either that I've ever seen of a Terran player. If he opens in the exact same way, I really like the Nexus first from PigBaby. It doesn't really seem like Heart's build is a build that he can put on a whole lot of pressure with, unless he just decides to march across the map with a bunch of slow Marines, but whoever does that. The command center is late, the starport is still late as well, so it's not like PigBaby really has to worry at the 5-minute 50 seconds mark or at the 6-minute and 15-second mark about a medevac flying in. So I really like this Nexus first, Nate. I like how you brought this up, because even though Heart's build was cool in game number 1, if he would do the exact same thing, the Nexus first would be great. However, we see Hellions, and Hellions actually a very good answer against Nexus first again.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how many he makes. There have been a couple of adjustments. I've seen Tasia do this. He makes 2 Hellions to scout or try to pick off a few probes, but not seeing those Hellions is really nice, because I feel like as a Protoss player, if you see Hellions on the map in the early game, you can try to adjust where your army's positioned a little bit differently so that they can't run around the mineral line. But another great point that you make is Heart doesn't get anything particularly fast in this game. When you try to get your you try to do an expansion build that gets defense but also has tech, you end up with very little of each. And even though Heart's build is nice, these Hellions actually, you almost kind of want to do something with them.
Yeah, you just swing in the natural. There's not a whole lot of DPS here. Is he going to use a photo? No, he doesn't even have energy for it. He's pulling 2 probes. These Hellions are actually going to do some serious work. Of course, PigBaby is in a position where he can lose a few probes and still be ahead. But in the 4, it felt like it was more.
Yeah, it was, you know, it's okay to deny that at the mining time and trim down that probe count. Because you look at it right now, it's still 32 workers to 23 SCVs. And as a Terran in that position, because your command center is late, those Hellions aren't going to be useful in the late game. So at the very least, you get a bit of scouting information, but trimming down that probe count early on, I guess the earlier the better is what you need to do.
Yes, I know. I think it's okay, and 4 workers is definitely better than nothing, but I still feel like being 11 workers down and not really having access to anything that's going to allow you to be aggressive in the near future is not a very good scenario. Normally Terran in this phase in the game, maybe you're down 4 or 5 workers, 7, 8 in some scenarios, but 11 is a lot. And if you take a look at this starport, it's going to be extremely late. If Heart is really going to wait until the medevacs are out and Stim finishes up, I think he's going to face a very strong economy of PigBaby, who from that point on, all he has to do is just survive, and then he can basically choose whatever he wants to do. He's 13 workers ahead right now. That's a lot in a 7-minute game.
Yeah, 43 probes, such as 30 SCVs. It's really been helping him with that income tab, especially in the last few minutes. Now the mules are beginning to lift their weight a bit more. This observer flies into the natural. He sees this Widow Mine. He's like, okay, you open with a defensive Widow Mine. My build, that doesn't really do anything against it. So the robotics bay goes up for PigBaby back home, and he's just moving into a standard game where Heart's just playing from an, I guess, it's not terrible position because he's still getting stim, he's still getting that starport together, but it's not as crisp as it could be if he did something like a Reaper expand or even a gasless expand.
Yeah, it's really weird to read the status of this game because it's just a little different than what we normally see. But if we just apply our normal knowledge of PVT on this matchup, I really don't like this too much where Hart is going. However, there will always be a phase in the game where he's going to try to look for opportunities, and of course, everything we say right now will be irrelevant if PigBaby completely mispositions his army and loses 15 workers to the first drop. However, what we see in the production tab, Nate, is we see both Twilight and the Robotics Bay and a double Forge. This is me, at least how I take it. This is PigBaby telling us, hey, I'm going to stay on 2 bases for a while. I'm just going to build a lot of workers, get my upgrades going, and by the time that it's easy for me to take 3 bases, I will eventually take 3 bases. But for now, I'm completely fine on 2 because I think my economy is better than yours, and damn right, it's better than his.
That's right. I mean, he could teach him, but it wouldn't be cheap. It would not be cheap. So PigBaby, the other really cool thing about this build, Roddy, not only does the double Forge typically show that you're in a defensive, but you see, as these medevacs get pushed away, PigBaby can say to himself, hey, I'm in a good defensive spot, but if you overcommit at all, once I get Colossus range, I could just march across the map and kill you if you throw away a few medevacs of units. I don't have to take any, I don't have to take a third base if you throw away 20 supply needlessly without killing anything. So Hart, as much as Hart wants to put on pressure, I feel like it's really, really difficult to force drops against a Protoss player that's on only 2 bases.
Christopher Columbus does get dropped on the high ground, and he sees a brand new Protoss base with double Forge, Colossus, and a lot of Stalkers. Did not see the Twilight Council yet, I believe, but I think he can pretty much assume it from this point on after you see the double Forge. Cute move there by Hart, unfortunately. He's just not really able to do a whole lot, and I wonder what is going to be his follow-up. We saw Rex 4 and 5 go down. I'm not sure how I feel about it. I actually would have loved to see the third command center. In general, I think that is a better build. However, of course, a lot of Terrans worry about the crazy 2-base Protoss pushes that you just don't have enough units yet if you only stay on 3 Rexes before you go up to 1 more base. But we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, Hart starts up the 3rd command center. His combat shield's almost done. He is continuously producing Vikings. We know that as that Twilight Council's already been built, it's not too difficult for PigBaby to transition into Storm. But look at this. Hart has a Marine out on the map. He's able to spot the 3rd Nexus. So he knows that if he tries to go for any pressure now, he's going to have a much easier time pulling this Protoss force apart. He can really get into a position where he can force PigBaby to choose between either defending his natural from drops or a run by, or defending his 3rd base. And that's a really big cliff that you can get bullied on.
Couldn't agree more. He has to be careful though, Nate, because Blink is ready. So with Blink and Force Fields and Colossus, he's going to have a hard time really engaging this army straight up. He's up 20 army supply, but he's still only working off a single starport as well. So be careful with those Vikings, be careful with those medevacs, because you will only be able to rebuild 1 at a time each. And so far it seems like he doesn't really want to commit to anything, and I don't really mind it. I think it's an okay decision. But I think it's still hard to find an opening against the way that PigBaby is positioning himself. He has a cannon in the natural as well. He has the mothership core there. And of course with Blink Stalkers and Colossus that can run up and down cliffs, I think it's going to be very hard for Hart to do something.
Yeah, I really feel like the way that these build orders have panned out, PigBaby has not been... Like, PigBaby's been able to do whatever he wants for this whole game. And Hart, while he hasn't really been harassed, we know from the way that he opened up very defensively like on the last map. He could be, rather than just 15 or 20, he could be up almost 30 supply ahead if he opened 3 command centers off of a command center first, if he knew PigBaby would be this greedy. So it makes things a bit awkward.
I feel like he's going to pull SCVs. This might just be me, but...
But these three ghosts this is a pretty standard timing for a lot of Terrans to pull everything with, because you're going to hit before Storm, and if he were to go right now, he could potentially hit before the 2-2 completes, but...
Yeah, that would be hard, but he is going to pull. The train is leaving. Well, Sparting always said you need a lot of soul to do a couple of things. you need a lot of soul or a big heart to pull all of your SCVs as well. It is a pretty big Terran army marching across the map, 112 supply against 108 for the Protoss. If you look at the production tab now, Nate, like you said, +2 armor, +2 attack, not ready yet, and charge is not even ready, but there will be force fields. There is plenty of Protoss to work with. There are Blink Stalkers. What's the Colossus count? 4 against 12 Vikings. Well, execution is important. I think PigBaby can do it. It won't be easy, but I think he can do it. Make sure to dodge the EMPs though.
Yeah, +2 has completed. Charge is about to finish, and look at this. There are 5 Colossi
Probes being
on the
pulled
map.
as well.
He's getting everything he can to hold this. Double time warp place, moving up the ramp. The Vikings targeting 1 Colossus down, but these Zealots moving in. These probes, I feel like the probes are a bit much, but he's going to kill all of the Vikings off, and he definitely wants to bring this force away. But PigBaby's Colossi are doing some work, Roddy.
Yeah, I'm loving it. All the Vikings were dead. Good positioning down. The Stalkers, 3 Colossus still alive. One of them very low on HP, but I feel like it almost doesn't really matter. There are still Stalkers alive, and Colossus will clean up the rest. GG is called, and PigBaby will defend the good old SCV pool and even things up on map number 2.